Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of What Happened. Today we're diving into one of the most shocking election results of 2026 so far, and it's a story that has everything: war, politics, betrayal, and an outcome that literally nobody saw coming. Picture this: Thailand, February 8th, 2026. Election night. Every major poll had been predicting that the Progressive People's Party would cruise to victory, continuing their momentum from 2023. Political analysts were confident, betting odds favored the progressives, and even the opposition seemed resigned to defeat. But then the results started coming in, and something absolutely wild happened. By the end of the night, not only had the People's Party lost, they got absolutely crushed. And the winner? A conservative party that had gone from 71 seats to nearly 200, led by a guy who most of the world had never heard of just a few months earlier. This is the story of how Anutin Charnvirakul and his Bhumjaithai Party pulled off what might be the biggest electoral upset in modern Thai history. But to understand how this happened, we need to go back to the beginning of 2025, because this story starts with a phone call that would change everything. In June 2025, Thailand had a different prime minister, a 37-year-old woman named Paetongtarn Shinawatra. She was the daughter of former Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra, one of the most controversial figures in Thai politics. And she was about to make the biggest mistake of her political career. At the time, Thailand and Cambodia were on the brink of war over their disputed border. Tensions had been building for months, and both countries had troops positioned along the frontier. So, on June 15, 2025, Paetongtarn called Hun Sen, Cambodia's former prime minister and still one of the most powerful men in the country, to try to calm things down. In that phone call, she was incredibly deferential to Hun Sen. She called him uncle, offered to take care of whatever he needed, and this is the part that destroyed her. She criticized her own country's military commanders, saying they were the opposite side opposing her peace efforts. Now, here's where it gets really crazy. Hun Sen recorded that entire conversation and then leaked it. Not immediately, but strategically, when it would do maximum damage. When that audio went public, Thai society exploded. Here was their prime minister apparently taking orders from a foreign leader and bad-mouthing the Thai military. The reaction was swift and devastating. The Bhumjaithai Party, which had been part of her coalition government, immediately withdrew their support. Protests erupted. And on August 29, 2025, Thailand's constitutional court removed Paetongtarn from office, ruling that her deference to Hun Sen violated ethics rules. But here's the twist: the man who replaced her was Anutin Charnvirakul, the leader of the same Bhumjaithai Party that had just brought down her government. And it was the Progressive People's Party that actually helped put him in power, thinking they could control him and force early elections. That turned out to be one of the biggest political miscalculations in recent Thai history. So, who is Anutin Charnvirakul? Most people outside Thailand had never heard of him before 2025. He's a 59-year-old businessman whose family owns a construction empire. He was previously known as health minister under former Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha, where he oversaw Thailand's controversial cannabis legalization, but also faced criticism for a botched COVID-19 vaccine rollout. He led a relatively small regional party called Bhumjaithai, which literally means Thai pride. But Anutin had something that his opponents didn't. He understood that the leaked phone call and the border crisis with Cambodia had fundamentally changed Thai politics. While the progressives were talking about reducing the military's role, and the former ruling party was associated with the humiliation of that phone call, Anutin positioned himself as the strong nationalist who would defend Thai sovereignty. And then, in July 2025, war actually broke out. The Thailand-Cambodia border conflict was brutal. It lasted 5 days initially, with artillery exchanges, airstrikes, and rocket attacks. Thai F-16 fighter jets bombed Cambodian positions for the first time since the 1980s. More than 200,000 civilians were displaced. According to reports, at least 32 people were killed in the first major clashes in July, with casualties on both sides and Cambodian BM-21 rocket launchers hitting hospitals, homes, and gas stations on the Thai side. A ceasefire was eventually brokered in October 2025, but it was fragile and kept breaking down. More clashes erupted in December, just as Thailand was heading toward elections. And through it all, Anutin presented himself as the wartime leader Thailand needed. His message was simple and powerful. If you want a prime minister, the enemy cannot intimidate. Choose my party. He promised to protect our soil with my life and wrapped himself in the Thai flag at every opportunity. Meanwhile, his opponents were struggling with an impossible balancing act. The Progressive People's Party had built their brand on reducing military power and promoting democratic reforms. But how do you criticize the military during an actual war? How do you talk about cutting defense spending when rockets are falling on Thai towns? The progressives tried to pivot to the center, toning down their anti-military rhetoric and even dropping their plans to amend Thailand's strict royal defamation laws. But this just confused their supporters and made them look weak and unprincipled to everyone else. And the formerly dominant Pheu Thai party, associated with the Shinawatra family, was still tainted by that disastrous phone call. Every time voters thought about them, they remembered their leader calling a foreign politician uncle, while criticizing the Thai military. By December 2025, Anutin felt confident enough to make a bold political gamble. Instead of waiting for the progressives to potentially bring down his government, he dissolved parliament himself and called snap elections for February 8, 2026. The timing was perfect. Nationalism was at its peak, the border conflict was still active, and his opponents were in disarray. But even then, nobody saw what was coming. Every single poll leading up to Election Day showed the People's Party winning. The final survey released just days before voting had them projected to win between 125 and 135 seats, compared to Bhumjaithai's predicted 140-150. It looked like it would be close, but most analysts expected the progressives to form the next government. Election Day, February 8, 2026, started normally enough. Turnout was actually lower than in 2023, which many interpreted as voter apathy. The People's Party had swept all the constituencies in Bangkok, which seemed to confirm their urban strength. But then results started coming in from rural Thailand, and it became clear something extraordinary was happening. Bhumjaithai wasn't just winning in their traditional strongholds, they were winning everywhere. They had built a nearly perfect political machine, combining nationalist messaging with old-school patronage politics. Anutin had spent months courting local political bosses, the so-called big houses that control rural votes, and promising them access to government resources. The final results were stunning. Bhumjaithai won 194 seats out of 500, nearly quadrupling their previous total. The People's Party managed just 116 seats, a devastating drop from expectations. And Pheu Thai, once the dominant force in Thai politics, collapsed to just 74 seats. In a simultaneous referendum, Thai voters also approved constitutional change by nearly 2/3, though this will be shaped by the conservative parliament that was just elected. It wasn't just the numbers that were shocking, it was how wrong everyone had been. This was supposed to be the year of progressive politics in Thailand. Young voters were energized, urban areas were growing, and democratic values seemed to be gaining ground. Instead, Thai voters had chosen nationalism, conservatism, and strongman leadership. The international reaction was immediate and mixed. Some observers praised Thai democracy for delivering a clear result, while others worried about what Anutin's victory meant for human rights and democratic reforms. China and Russia were reportedly pleased with the outcome, seeing Anutin as more friendly to their interests than the pro-Western progressives would have been. But perhaps the most interesting reaction came from the United States. The Trump administration, now back in office, had a more complex relationship with the outcome. While some in Washington appreciated Anutin's tough stance against what they saw as Chinese-aligned Cambodia, others worried about the implications for democratic values in Southeast Asia. For Thailand itself, the election results represented a fundamental shift. This was the first decisive victory for a conservative party since 1996. For decades, Thai politics had been dominated by either progressive movements or the Shinawatra family's populist machine. Now, for the first time in the 21st century, conservatives had won a clear mandate from voters. On election night, Anutin was emotional as he declared victory. He was seen embracing his wife as the results came in, and in his victory speech, he said, "This victory belongs to the people, not only to the Bhumjaithai Party. The election result is a clear instruction from the people for us to administer the country, create prosperity, and solve national problems." The People's Party leader Nathapong Ruang Panyawut graciously conceded defeat, saying, "Don't lose hope. We've come so far." But privately, progressives were devastated. They had gone from expecting victory to suffering their worst defeat in years. So what does Anutin's victory mean for Thailand and the region? First, it likely means the border conflict with Cambodia will continue to simmer. While Anutin has discovered that strong nationalist leadership resonates with Thai voters, the underlying border disputes remain unresolved, with both countries claiming territory and accusing each other of violations. The fragile ceasefires have repeatedly broken down due to incidents from both sides, including landmine explosions that injured Thai soldiers and cross-border attacks, making genuine peace difficult to achieve regardless of political incentives. Second, it signals a retreat from democratic reforms. Anutin's coalition will be dominated by conservative parties that support the monarchy and military. Plans to amend the constitution and reduce royal powers are effectively dead. Thailand is moving toward what experts call authoritarian stability. Less chaos, but also less freedom. Third, it changes Thailand's international orientation. While Anutin won't completely abandon relations with the United States, his government will likely be more open to Chinese influence and less committed to liberal democratic values. But perhaps most importantly, Anutin's victory shows how quickly political landscapes can change. Just 18 months ago, he was a minor political figure leading a small regional party. The progressive movement seemed unstoppable, and the old conservative establishment looked finished. Then came a phone call, a war, and a perfectly timed election campaign that changed everything. The irony is that the progressives actually helped create their own downfall. By supporting Anutin as Prime Minister in September 2025, they gave him the platform and credibility he needed to build his nationalist credentials. They thought they were making a tactical move to force early elections on their terms. Instead, they handed power to their most effective opponent. There's also a broader lesson here about the power of nationalism in modern politics. Around the world, we've seen how external conflicts can transform domestic political landscapes. Anutin understood this better than anyone. He didn't just respond to the border crisis, he used it as a tool to reshape Thai politics in his favor. The timing of his parliamentary dissolution was masterful. He called elections at the exact moment when nationalist sentiment was highest, his opponents were weakest, and international attention was focused elsewhere. It was a political gamble that paid off beyond his wildest dreams. As for what happens next, Anutin now has to govern. Winning elections by promising to be a strong wartime leader is one thing. Actually running a country of 70 million people is another. He'll need to deliver economic growth, manage the ongoing conflict with Cambodia, and maintain the coalition that brought him to power. The early signs are that he plans to govern as he campaigned, as a nationalist conservative who puts Thai sovereignty above all else. His first major decision will be how to handle the Cambodia situation. Does he escalate to maintain his tough guy image, or does he try to find a face-saving way to peace? International observers will be watching closely, especially with the broader implications for Southeast Asian stability. Thailand is one of the most important countries in the region, and Anutin's approach to foreign policy could influence everything from trade relationships to security arrangements. For now, though, Anutin is savoring his unlikely victory. He went from regional politician to national leader in less than 2 years, proving that in politics, timing really is everything. Whether he can sustain his success remains to be seen, but one thing is certain, nobody will underestimate him again. That's it for this episode of What Happened. This story is still developing, and I'll definitely be keeping an eye on how Anutin's government performs and what it means for Thailand's future. Let me know in the comments what you think about this election result and whether you saw it coming. If you want more videos about surprising political developments around the world, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell for notifications. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.